Namaste, my friends. All right, happy Equinox. We are finally in the spring. I couldn't wait. It's just like, I feel it in my bones that this year is gonna be much better than the last year. So I'm all gray. I was just thinking to keep it up. Let's see what's gonna happen. Anyway, so the energies are crazy, like we all know that, like there's a lot of stuff happening in the world. We are like dealing again with some sort of power dynamics in the relationship. A lot of our relationships right now are changing. A lot of people are doing certain moves, moving somewhere into the like countrysides, or like a lot of things are happening because there is a lot of dissonance between those who are awake for quite some time and did a load of shadow work on themselves, raised their vibration, obviously. Then there is suddenly this incompatibility in the relationship, which is happening naturally when one person is like growing and like especially if you're doing some sadhana, if you are in some sort of like a yogic practices, there is always a big kind of a breakdowns in the relationships because you suddenly start seeing everything very differently, especially if you are seeing it through the lens of like energy, like or through your third eye. Then it's gonna be very difficult to continue keeping these old relationships. Family units are gonna be our like earthly, like the families we were born into, the families we incarnated into, and where we experience a lot of trauma and a lot of subconscious programming, society, you name it, it was like imprinted in our consciousness. Those programs are extremely loud. If you're doing certain shadow work or whatever type of practices you're doing on yourself for quite some time, then usually you arrive to the place where you are start feeling a little bit more the programming. It feels very different than when is it if it's like a trauma or if it's just some emotion stuck in the body. The programming is very different. It is usually have something to do with your self-image. So how you are seeing yourself, how you are putting yourself out there. If you are still operating on the like old image, then you start seeing it. Hopefully you start being aware of it, like that it feels different. The way how you recognize it is that it's different. It's a program that is running in your background, or it's something that is like constantly you are being in certain situations that kind of repeat itself, but it has you cannot figure out why is it. Okay, so that is showing up for us is like a power struggle in the relationships, dissonance in the relationships, programming, the old programming. We are dealing with 3 low chakras. I mean, we are dealing with all the chakras. Like we are usually dealing with the heart, throat, and then all the way down. We are not dealing much with these ones. Like it's just some of us are dealing with those ones. But like majority of the people operate from like the lowest chakras, that you can, let's keep in mind as well the solar plexus down, so root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra, these 3 chakras. So a lot of the trauma and emotions are stuck in actually sacral chakra. And the past 2 days on the Schumann resonance there was some activity, and I start immediately feeling some like old sort of patterns and programs and like all sort of things that start like popping up in my reality. And I was like, okay, wow, all right, so I still didn't deal with this one, this is still in here. So there is a lot of what's stuck in there is fear. There's a lot of manipulation. Of course, there's a sexuality. It has some, you know, all the issues around sexuality, so abuses, like all these kind of people who had this type of like traumas, it's stuck in that region. So we're speaking about a pelvic kind of a region. But have a look on it. I did a post on Instagram. I wrote there all of the list of like whatever I found around that region, because there is like a survival that's in the root chakra, finances are in there. And the sacral chakra is like, there is a lot of trauma, because it's like this kind of a house who stores all the traumatic events, because there's as well like, you know, everything what is going with the sexuality, it's in there. There's addictions, all sorts of addictions, like to like especially like the sex. What else is in there? There's tons of stuff, tons, including judgment and jealousy, self-esteem, and also authenticity. You know, like once that chakra is actually balanced, once that chakra is all, once you start dealing with all these kind of things about like a self-worth and a self-esteem and confidence, that's all there. It's, you know, and most of the time underactive or overactive, it doesn't matter. People usually are operating from that kind of a chakra. So have a look on it. I did a little post about that on Instagram. I wrote there all sorts of things, but do your own research, because you will be presented with the information that is right for you. You know, there's a lot of trauma in there. So if you have like most of the people are gonna be dealing with the finances anyway. So finances are root chakra, and it's gonna go together with that as well, and it affects the solar plexus, you know, from where you create. So it's kind of affecting all. So because we are building like a new foundation, so it goes together in the relationships, like because there's a power struggle in the relationships, you know, the dysfunctionality, that's all stuck there. So whatever happened for you or to you, or whatever you went through as a child, or the background you're coming from, it is there, and it is at the foundation. It is your core foundation, which we are now breaking down, which goes with self-image. You know, so practically, if you feel kind of a strange inside of yourself, like a little bit like feeling not yourself, or being between the worlds, and kind of like having enough of these, like a lot of things are changing inside of you, that's because you are breaking down the old self-image. We are draining very slowly since the new year. We are draining very slowly the old energies that were still lingering inside of us, in all of us, you know. And with the movement of the Russia and the war like in Ukraine, that as well has something to do with it. Okay, considering the fact that like Ukraine was always a major supplier for sex trafficking, children sex trafficking, or women sex trafficking. So this has to still pop up, you know, all this kind of like hidden dirt which is going in the world, you will be feeling in that region of your body. Everything what we went through as a human, especially women who were abused, this is gonna be playing out right now. This is like this kind of overall theme on the spring, like, so happy spring, you know. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Like, so pay attention to the triggers, pay attention to what your mind is running inside, you know. Have a look on your life, have a look on the family, because like the family dynamics are gonna be breaking up. We are gonna be saying no. We're gonna be establishing new relationships based on a completely different and healthy foundation. So we are dealing with those chakras right now. It is good idea to do some practices. I mean, you know, they say, oh, I'm grounding in nature, but like honestly, I know that the nature does like a kind of balance the energy field for you, but it's not gonna do the job for you. All right, it is you who has to do it. you obviously have to do something with yourself to release those emotions. And there is no way that there is a one human on the planet who doesn't have it, including the man. All right, men were always told not to cry and be strong and all this kind of a stuff. So every single person has some stuck emotion in that region, you name it. Be it addiction to sex, be it addiction to food, be it addiction to any type of pleasure, you know, self-esteem, confidence, being manipulative, you name it, it's there. So we are dealing with that kind of a stuff. This is gonna need some shadow work, and I would say, well, I do yoga practices because like that's the fastest to release it and kind of to strengthen up those chakras. So, you know, you do whatever you think. Dancing probably would be good, I would say. Like, I don't know, you know, I do only yoga, so that's my stuff. You deal with it your way. Oh, the other practices are cool as well. I don't remember which one are they. Oh yeah, now we are as well claiming the gifts. So practically you are being prepared for this to sort of merge down with your new self-image. You have to establish a new self-image to being actually able to break certain very old programming that was really a default. Like you are functioning on certain defaults, and that's not something you can break down with yoga. Actually you can. I was looking on if there is something like that. There is, but I don't know how long it's gonna take. I think every person is different, but you can use hypnosis as well. I'm gonna try to wipe out the hard drive, reset to the factory setting, to the universal setting. So this is happening right now. I highly suggest you use certain practices and really have a look on it. I'm gonna do probably some hypnosis on that. Because I start noticing that I'm having certain program running inside of me, which is so strong that I don't know how to break it, because I'm trying to break it for such a long time, for about 3 years, and it's kind of unbreakable. So it's like, imagine yourself being like a biological computer, and a lot of things was imprinted and installed in your consciousness, so which is running the show. And oftentimes we cannot break from this unless we didn't recognize there's actually a program which was installed in you by your parents, society, culture, you name it. Be aware, just, you know, have your eyes open, do some shadow work, have a look on your reality, how is it working, because we are definitely need to recognize this in order to break it. So we are building sort of like a new safe container for ourselves based on completely different values that are coming from the heart. You know, so we're not gonna be operating and building up the families what we used to build, you know, like the old way we were like raised as a cattle, you know, how we were raised. So that's over, you know, that's over. You don't need to worry about it and like be sad about it. It is leaving your body, leaving your reality. If it's leaving you, good for you. All right, we're gonna be building completely new foundations, and if those guys keep catching up or not, that's their choice. You know, they will always have a choice to wake up. You're not there for them to babysit them or trying to wake them up, or, you know, you don't have to do that. That's not your job, actually. I think the best for this spring would be to really spend some time and to like get clear on have a look on how far did you come. For sure, we did a lot of work. Oh my god, since the pandemic, wow, it's mind-blowing. Self-care will be non-negotiable. Focusing on yourself, because you are sort of really building a new foundation, and the people who are in the same frequency will come to your life anyway. It's gonna be cool. I'm just looking, yeah, you have to as well claim and embrace your gifts. It's like a second message what I got was like, in order for us actually to stepping into that like a new container, a new version of us, and like to getting rid of the old self-image and having the new one, we have to embrace our gifts and all the multidimensionality they came in with. Like I had this girl like telling me that she's got X-ray vision and that she doesn't want it, and I was like, don't push against your gifts, like you are, that's a miracle, like, you know, it's so cool. This is a new sort of, I don't want to say new age, I don't like that kind of like the label, but we definitely are living in a completely new time. It has never been done before. You know, this is an evolution of the human consciousness. A lot of things are gonna be changing. The world is gonna be changing, and we are in it. We have to be on the right timeline. So bring your third eye online. We are restructuring our life. So journal, plan. You know, the old identity is dying. The ego is gonna be really loud. It's gonna be trying to pull you back. And oh, one more thing was this: when this is happening, when this kind of a stuff is happening, usually when you are like going up, your ego is gonna try to pull you down to back to the known identity, because it's afraid of the unknown, because everything cool happens in the unknown, you know, but ego doesn't like it. Or I don't like to use ego. It's like, it's just identity for me. I had this conversation with one of my friends, and I was telling her, what if ego doesn't really exist? You know, what if it's just an identity? For me, it's just identity. So the old identity or the self-image that you had for such a long time is gonna get really loud. And the moment you decide that you're gonna like embody the new image, or embody your higher self, or that you want to change certain things, and it's always happened usually like internally. Those decisions usually are made, like, you know, you make them in here. Once that happened, the other image will be fighting for the survival. And what is gonna happen is with the people, the moment that they start seeing that you are embodying a different image, they will try to pull you down. They will try to pull you back into the old scenarios. They will create situations that are gonna be trying to hook you. The moment you usually are in this phase and the new version of you starts to being like a stable in you, it's like kind of like a, you know, you are draining the old version of you, and the new one is kind of a dropping in bit by bit by bit, and you start like expressing it as well outside. You start behaving a little bit differently. You're like more stable, you're more like sovereign. The moment you start being like that, being a little bit different, the people start freaking out, and they will not know what the heck, and they will try to pull you down. They will try to like create certain scenarios that you can play in their timeline, reality. Yeah, you know. So just pay attention, because it can happen even with the thought. You know, you can be running and something like a really old start popping up, and you will having that feeling, oh my God, you know, something's wrong with me, or stuff like that. No. This usually the old identity is trying to like just put you down, because that's more known for the ego. Let's call it ego. Now, all right. So have a nice spring, happy spring, and do some shadow work. And if you need me for more shadow work, you know, I kind of get used to it. I get used to it and I start liking it. It's like you open up this treasure chest and there is all those black gems. Yeah, I'm definitely a shadow worker, you know, so yeah, I'm kind of good to collecting the puzzles and putting them together and trying to figure out what the heck. I was always interested in the dreams. Oh yeah, pay attention to the dreams. So dream states are crazy, and I have to say that I always process stuff for the dreams, and I can give you one of my tools which is really good is before you go sleep, if there is something which you are dealing with, so before you go sleep, before you fall asleep, I always set it up. I always say to myself, now I'm gonna have a dream which is gonna solve or help me to solve what I'm going through. And I will remember it. And I will wake up from it and I will remember it. And what I do, that's what I said. I set this intention before I go sleep. Then I have some sort of like a dream diary I keeping for about 30 years. Yeah, about like that long. I have been always doing it. I have it on the side, open with the pen, and I have there a candle and a lighter, so just I know that in the night when I wake up from the dream, I check what's the time. I write down exactly what is the time. Sometimes it's like 222 or 333, you know, those cool times. Based on that time, you can check out which type of organ in the body was working in that time, which is usually, it could be, I think it's usually like a liver in that time, or bladder. I don't remember, but you can check this. This is like from Chinese medicine. You can check that time in which area of the life it actually relates. Usually it's relationships, you know, and kind of a stuff. And then I always write down every single thing I could remember about the dream. And then I write down the most important is how do you felt? What was the feeling? Was it a fear? Was it I don't know, sadness? Was it disgust? You know, have you been frustrated? Write as much components of the dream, as many you can remember, and write down how did you felt when you woke up from the dream. And that's it. The day after, you can just Google it, dream about this and that. Dream about bucket of the water. Dream about, I don't know, curtains, okay? Or curtains meaning in the dreams. So you can Google it and you will be always presented with the right information, because the moment you try to solve the dream, you will be guided. You know, you will always find the right information how to solve it. And the moment you solve it, you know what is going on inside of you. That's it. And the moment you bring it to the conscious mind, you're done with it. You don't have to do anything with it. All you have to do is just have a look on it, deconstruct it, feel it, and that's it. This way I found out that I actually had a fear. I didn't know about it. I had a fear from my stepfather. I was 16. My sister was like 3 in that time. And I remember that I was extremely uncomfortable since he moved into our house when I was 13. And I always felt uncomfortable, and I actually had a fear. It was not that I felt uncomfortable. I've actually had a massive fear from him, and I didn't know about it until I had this dream. I set it up the way I told you. And I set it up, and I had a dream about him, that it was actually him who was not, he was his presence, because he was violent and he was alcoholic. So his presence in our home was making me feeling extremely unsafe. And that I actually completely forgot on it. You know, he's dead for a long time. He died because he overdosed. Actually, he actually forgot drinking. It was really funny. He was alcoholic for so many years, and then out of sudden he forgot drinking, and his system shut down, and he died. And I remember that when I was last time at home a couple of years ago, I went with my daughter. My mom was babysitting. I went to the pub for a pint, and when I was going back home, I was putting my hand on the handlebar, I felt such this kind of a weird feeling, like everything inside of me shrank. And but I didn't really, in that time I was not that conscious. Now I know that. But actually this dream a couple of days ago actually showed me that I had a massive fear from him, because he was like the way he was so violent, and He was a massive man. He had like 140 kilos, and we were all tiny little women. So there was a big fear, like, in that situation, because I saw him many times fighting with his brother, blood everywhere, and kind of like all kind of stuff. So pay attention to the fears now, because the fears are playing so much, like it's crazy. Fears are just like wow, like it's mind-blowing. You will be discovering a tiny little fears here and there around all sorts of things. It could be anything, you know. So have your eyes open. I hope this helps someone, and have a nice spring, and I see you next time. Bye.